Welcome, wonderful people, to the Sunday Rune and Card reading. Very powerful energy here today, guys. Really super powerful. For those that don't know me or are not connected yet to this channel, I'm Jenny Florence. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Now, I did a reading yesterday and I was drawn to rose quartz in abundance, as you can see. And as I was clearing away in preparation for the reading that I was doing after that one, I heard very clearly to use the rose quartz as a kind of a governing energy, an umbrella energy for this reading. I was also drawn to, fundamentally natural stone, natural crystals. I knew that whatever we were going to use, it wouldn't be a heart shape or an angel, even though we have the rose quartz angel sitting here. I knew that we were going to be working with these natural energies, natural forces. I know they're always present in anything, but I needed the natural form of the crystals. Now, the first crystal that I was drawn to for this reading, and it is literally, I don't know if you can see it, but it literally is, it's gathering and capturing light. It's quite extraordinary. Now, this is emerald calcite. Emerald calcite is a heart chakra stone. It's known to clear away stagnant or blocked energy, but very specifically in order to free us up or to allow us to attract love, to draw love into us. And this can be, or to find love, and it can be connected to finding love with yourself, but also to drawing in love with others. Very powerful combination, connecting in with the rose quartz, which of course is the purity of unconditional love. Now, the second crystal I was drawn to today, very, very beautiful, is aragonite. This crystal's quite new to me. It's come to me quite recently. This is the first reading it's actually shown up for. So very powerful, very grounded energy, because aragonite is connected to the earth goddess. Aragonite is said to bring strength and support. The energy is steady, strong, reliable. For me, this is speaking to me of our ability to hold firm, to stay on course, not to wobble if we're having a wobble, not to wobble, to remain grounded, to be firm and yet kind. It's got this very powerful, almost majestic maternal energy. It's sort of the maternal energy at its best, very much centered in the earth goddess. Now, our final crystal is angelite. Angelite, and this is a natural piece that's just been sliced, so it's very, very beautiful. No other finish really on this. Angelite is about transformation and transition. Now, we are all about to embark on a massive energetic transition during March. I've uploaded energy uploads for each sign, so if you haven't yet checked in with them, just for the end of March, do check in with them. It's the end of March into the beginning of April. Powerful energy shift, and so really useful to have to be aware of that, so that you're working with the energy. Now, transformation, transition. Interestingly enough, angelite is said to facilitate the process of rebirth. So if we are shifting to a space of new beginnings, if we're initiating anything, if we're moving forwards, it's going to allow us to flow within that. It's also said to open the pathway for spiritual inspiration and also for psychic channeling. So if you know you're in transition and you are really wanting to be in tune with your higher self, with higher levels of divine inspiration, connecting to universal knowledge, then this is the kind of energy you may wish to be attuning to. What also came through very clearly as I was sitting with these three crystals was that there actually is a flow running from one to the other, and it almost is this process of transition, because the emerald calcite, because it helps us to sort of break what I would call relationship habits and patterns, things that have been holding us back and stopping us from receiving love, being open to find love. in a sense, it releases the past. So there's some aspect of past, then present, remaining grounded, staying on track, holding ourselves in the present, knowing that the source of empowerment sits in the present moment. The choices and decisions we make today are impacting on our tomorrow. So very much about past, present, and moving into the future, this transition and process of rebirth, new arrival, transformation, but transformation through what I would call divine wisdom. So there seems to me to be quite an interesting flow. Now, I always say to people, take time, tune into reading 1, reading 2, or reading 3. We'll be drawing the cards and the runes in just a moment so that you can sit and be present to that. I know a lot of you have really enjoyed that. I used to just do all of this and then just present the 3 readings, and I know a lot of you have really enjoyed the process. The timestamps are in the comment. I'll pin a comment. So to be honest, if for some reason it's you just want to skip and fast forward, you can do so. You don't have to sit through the drawing of the cards and runes if you don't want to, and I'll put the timings there for you. But there's a really interesting transition, and I often say to people, I don't know if you can hear that, guys, but suddenly rain is coming and really throwing itself. In fact, that's not rain, that's hailstones. It's like the lightning spirit. Do you know, this is so fascinating. This is like the lightning spirit of transformation. 1 moment ago, the sun was shining. I mean, it was blindingly bright. Now we have hailstones that are so loud they are knocking at the window. I'm watching the wildlife in my garden run for cover, literally. I had a beautiful pheasant, cock pheasant, sitting in the garden. Not seen him before. He's a new visitor today. There was a woodpecker. But this is interesting, a cock pheasant, a woodpecker, and then 2 beautiful collar doves, all of whom were feeding together in the garden just as I began these readings. And they've all now vanished. Quite appropriately, they've run for cover or flown for cover. Wow. But there's so much transformation around, and there's a very electric energy here today. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I always suggest, sometimes you'll be automatically or instinctively drawn to one reading above another. Sometimes it's more than one. You may find that it's the combination of 2 messages that are working for you. Interestingly enough, for me, there is a flow running through these today, and that's unusual. They tend to be very separate readings, and indeed, as we draw the cards and runes, they may well be, and I'm sure will be, very separate messages. But there's certainly a transitional flow running through just the elements of these crystals, and they are very, very powerful. I mean, the energy coming off them is extraordinary. So, wonderful people, we've checked in with the crystals that are guiding the 3 readings today. I'm going to move them up here just for the moment. I'll rearrange at the end, and we're actually now just going to draw some cards. I've already dowsed to see which cards we're drawing, and I've already prepared, and they've all been smudged and shuffled, ready for us to work. And forgive me, I'm sometimes a little quiet. And I did actually remember today as well, for those of you that follow my readings, you'll know last week all of this happened and I had completely forgotten to put the microphone on. So I ended up putting birdsong to, to it afterwards. But I'm still with you verbally and in every other way. But I do go a little bit quiet when I'm drawing. Okay, that's our first pack. We'll move those out of our way. This is our second. Quite interesting actually, and I'm getting a very strong 3s coming through as well, just as a number. For those of you that tune in with numbers, numerology, and are tuning in, I'm really hearing 3 as a very relevant number today in terms of the cards that we're going to be drawing. Okay. Oops. My beautiful scarf is getting a little bit ruffled. Now, okay, wonderful people. Very powerful space in time at this moment in here. Very, very powerful energy. And I don't know if we're doing 3 of these. I think it may be 1. Just sit with that for a moment. Yes, just the 1. Okay, and now we are going to draw our runes, and then I will reorganise our cards to some extent. I'll probably just switch the camera off for a minute once we've done this and reorganise them, and then you can have a look at them in their kind of collections. I will try not to show these to you while we're drawing them. Interestingly enough, we have a 4th rune for this middle reading. We just do. Actually, no, that's how it is. Oops, my apologies if I just brushed the microphone. That might have been a bit grim for listening, actually. Okay. Well, wonderful people, I hope that that's been helpful for you in terms of tuning in. I will literally pause the video and reorganise them, and then I will be with you again. Namaste. Welcome back, wonderful people. We are now arranged in a way that will be showing up on the little thumbnail for YouTube. It's interesting, as I was just reorganising, laying the cards into their piles so they could all be seen. I slightly rearranged the rose quartz, and I found myself feeling it's like an army of spiritual warriors here standing, overseeing the proceedings, but they stand in love. You know, very, very powerful energy here. So, wonderful people, this is the time when we tune into our intuition. I will just say as well, for anyone that doesn't know me or my readings, in the information box below, if any of the cards or the runes are really speaking to you and you are wanting to find them for yourselves, on my website there is a page, and in the information box below there is a link to that page. It's the books and cards page. Every pack of cards that I ever use and the runes are all on that page. So if any of these cards during the readings are leaping out and you're thinking, I would really like to start working with those myself, then check out that page. You'll be able to identify all the different ones. There are photographs of them as well as links, and you should be able to, as I said, find out which is which, including the runes. So, and of course we have the live webinar coming up on the 21st, Saturday the 21st, where I am going to be teaching, working with cards and runes. Tarot cards, oracle cards and runes, and this is going to be one of many webinars. We're going to be building our skills. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to share my own learning and other people's learnings with you guys, for anyone who's interested in wanting to really develop their own skills in reading. So enough of that, wonderful people. I hope you can join me for that, and if not, the event will be recorded. But in the meantime, let us focus. We have reading number 1. Guided by emerald calcite, heart chakra, removing blockages, but very specifically to make way for the incoming of love, really, yeah, absolutely, relationships, removing relationship habits that no longer serve, clearing the way for love to come into you. We have reading 2, Aragonite, bringing strength, support, keeping you on course, holding you firm but kind, steady, reliable, such a lovely earthy energy, very powerful, very strong, standing firm. In our reading number 3, we have Angelite, transformation, transition, rebirth, connecting in with the divine, connecting to higher guidance, universal knowledge, spiritual inspiration, psychic channeling, moving forwards, very much an energy of movement, and it really is. There's literally almost like a spiral of energy around this particular reading. This is very solid, very earthy, very grounded, and this is there's a shifting around the energy in reading number 1. You guys may well already be picking up on that. You may wish to pause the video at this moment in time. If you do, that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, guys, I will see you in whichever reading you're drawn to, or indeed a combination of more than one. And of course, this will be in the Sunday Rune and Card playlist on the main channel. So if you're wanting to come back to it at a later time, if something sparks and you think, do you know what, one of those readings would be right for me now or later in the week or whenever, you'll be able to find them along with all the other Sunday Rune and Card readings if you're in a moment where you're wanting to touch base and just seek some extra guidance. Wonderful people, namaste. Welcome to reading number 1 with our stunning emerald calcite, making way for love to come to you. Okay, so first of all, our first rune is ice, suggesting that something is at a standstill and indeed needing to be shifted. We then have the rune of separation. Separation, something is you're needing to leave something behind. It's a very specific energy. It's not just a transition, the rune of separation. It's not just a transition where we are sort of like letting go of something. We are literally, we've outgrown something. Something that used to serve you no longer serves you. Whether that's an outdated thinking pattern or a way of behaving. Very interesting because, of course, emerald calcite clears away, it sort of breaks relationship habits and patterns that hold us back. So again, things that maybe once were good for us. You know, I always think with our, what I would call defense mechanisms, you know, when we first put them in place, we learn to protect ourselves because we need to. But there comes a time when the very things we put in place to protect us, it's almost as though, I'm going to say they pass their sell-by date. They're not only are they not really relevant to us anymore, they're actually blocking us from receiving what we need. That's the flavour here. And we then have the rune of fertility. This is lovely. This means you need to fertilise the ground for your own deliverance. So there's something that you're needing to do to shift this and move things forwards. The rune of ice, it's got a lovely, for me, it's, and I'm actually seeing it now, it's, the rune of ice speaks of being able to identify what it is that you need to let go of, and then the thaw comes and so does the flow. And I'm almost seeing it's like a glacier. You know, I don't know if any of you have ever visited a glacier. They're just extraordinary. But if you stand near the foot of a glacier, they are actually moving. They kind of creak, and there's always a flow of water coming through. There is a melt. You know, it's a river, ultimately a river of ice. And if you are at the head of it, it's that space where there's this, something is, it's beginning to melt and it's breaking up. And that's the kind of imagery that I'm seeing here. You've outgrown something. You're moving beyond it. Something that you used to have an emotional attachment to has outlived its value to you. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, second house owning. So there's a calling to take an ownership of something. That's perhaps just the recognition. I'm just going to place all our cards here. Okay, problems. This is an interesting transition. Let's just work out how we're going to place our cards because we have a lot of cards in this reading today. Okay, so let's first of all line these up. So we have 7 of Pentacles. There's work to be done. Ah, yes. 7, excuse my yesing. 7 of Pentacles. You're working at something. Sorry, not 7, it's an 8. 8 of Pentacles. You're working through something. You're processing something. I think you already know what it is that you're processing, but the interesting thing is, although you're working at something, simultaneously, indeed you have worked. It's not even a you are working, you are working and you have worked. So I'm almost being shown like a timeline. It's like this glacier again. It's like, I feel like I'm in an aeroplane or a helicopter, you know, where you fly over and you can see the whole thing. And I'm looking at it from sort of midway down. You've been working at something for a while. It's gathering momentum, but something in you is holding you back from being able to receive, basically. It's almost as if the universe is orchestrating around you. Someone or something has approached you. I want to say someone. In fact, interesting energy, Page of Swords around you. I don't think this is your energy. This is someone coming in. It's like there's someone on the parameters. Energetically, there's someone around you. And people are wanting to give to you. They're wanting you to receive. And yet somehow there's something in you that there's still some final residue of something that you're needing to let go. Now, we have this card, second house, ownership. This is taking that ownership of that, exactly that. Now, let's just look at our other tarot cards. We have 10 of Cups, 2 of Wands, and 3 of Cups. Okay, this is lovely. Now, 10 of Cups is to do with relationships. For me, it's ongoing contentment, ongoing happiness. It's almost as though you have a goal, you have a dream, you have a vision, you know what it is you want. It's almost like you actually have worked sufficiently hard individually in your own ways, and in terms of manifestation, you've worked really, really hard to identify what it is that you really, really desire and want. And yet, there is something still in you that has held you back from being able to receive it. There's some transition needing to take place here, but it's definitely to do with you've outgrown something. There's something within you that energetically is still holding you back, and you're being asked to identify it. The 2 of Wands, for me, this particularly in this line up here, followed by the 3 of Cups, it's like you've had the Ace, you've had the Ace of Wands, you've had that burst of desire, that you've put your desires, your list, you've put it into the universe, you've made your request. And now the energy is beginning to shift and move forwards around you. But here we have transformation, Ace of Swords, and then the Empress in reverse. Okay, this is interesting. 10 of Cups, ongoing contentment. You know what it is you desire, you've identified it. And the 3 of Cups would suggest this is going to move forwards. Again, for me, this is the birth of something new. It could be a new relationship, the celebration of something, a new phase in relationship. You've fallen in love, you've met someone. It could be the arrival of a new baby even sometimes. It's that sort of initial celebration of the beginning of a new chapter. You've started it, you've initiated it. Something in you has been holding you back. Whoever it is, the energy around you, they're wanting to give to you, and yet somehow you're not quite able to own your right or your entitlement to receive. The Princess of Wands is a wonderful card of transformation. I mean, for me, this is the ultimate card of emotional liberation and freedom. You know, she dances the dance of emotional liberation because that's why the figure in this card is naked. She has let go of the tiger of fear. She's no longer controlled by anxiety. Okay, so this reading is quite interesting. I'm going to just move these cards just fractionally over because I wish to create a dividing line. There's a line here. Okay, it's almost like one reading that shifts into another, and the pivotal moment is that you have to release and let go of something. That's what allows the fertility. It's like fertilizing the ground for your own deliverance. It's almost like this is the shift. And the Ace of Swords, new beginning. To get Page of Swords and Ace of Swords, this is new beginnings, this is new opportunities, a burst of new energy, of mental clarity, psychological clarity. The Empress in reverse is interesting because it would suggest that you get a little bit knocked off balance in some way. I'm going to say this goes back, so whatever it is, this is just a little clue for us here, I think. It's letting us know that whatever it is that's stopping you from receiving, it goes back to the way in which you were primarily mothered. You know, either you were mothered in a way that was maybe and I don't wish to bring any judgment into this, but, you know, I want to say that most parents, we often, and I'm a parent, so I know, we do the wrong things for the right reasons, if that makes sense. And sometimes people can overprotect their children, they can smother rather than mother, and it actually, ironically enough, outwardly it looks as though a child has the most idyllic life, and in fact, they cannot find their own identity, and they don't have the confidence to fall over and get back up again, because they're so nurtured and so cushioned that they don't as I said, develop something of their own entitlement. Sometimes parents, for whatever reason, are so stressed they're not emotionally available to allow their children to even have their own hopes and dreams. Sometimes parents are very damaged and they're actually fundamentally quite narcissistic, and they actually resent their children growing up and having a flourishing life, which, you know, to most parents seems a peculiar thing, but it's really, really true. If you have a narcissistic parent, they will actually sabotage your opportunities. You know, they kind of want you to succeed, but they kind of don't. So really tricky. Now, this reading is really dividing into two. I almost want to sort of draw a dividing line here. In fact, as long as we're still in camera, I'm going to move those cards over here, because this is like the invitation to move forwards. Very powerful energy, really, really powerful. Runes I always read from right to left, unless they're sitting with the cards. In this instance, I almost want to reverse them, because the ice is to do with, as I said, and that's the clue from the Empress in reverse. There's something of the way you were mothered, particularly mothered rather than parented. It's particularly the mother energy that has actually held you back. It's stopped you from being able to nurture yourself. It's caused you to have self-doubt, to not be able to persevere. Now this card, problems, we have three cards: problems, forgiveness of others, and nurture. Three cards from the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards. The second house owning is not asking you to own the problem. It's actually, I mean, you can identify the problem, as it were. It's asking you to take an absolute ownership of your entitlement to your own desires, your own wishes, your own dreams, and your entitlement within relationship and in love. This is very much what this is about. It's about love, about your ability to receive love. Problems. This card asks you to view any problem as an opportunity rather than a crisis. Anyone that's been brought up in a narcissistic household, you will understand that the enormity of what I'm saying in this card, because if you are in a narcissistic environment, a problem is a crisis, and it's virtually impossible to find a solution, because a narcissist wants to create problems and dramas because of the attention that comes from it. It's part of that very challenging condition. And for anyone growing up in that kind of environment, it means that we are often very fazed by problems. We haven't had a good experience where a problem is something to be solved that helps us to grow and to flourish. This card asks you to view any problems as an opportunity rather than a crisis. Whenever we identify a problem, our very recognition and acknowledgement of this difficulty creates an opportunity to seek a potential solution. As long as a problem remains unseen or indeed denied, the doorway to a potential solution remains closed. It's this shift of perspective that will actually allow you to be open to receive. Forgiveness of others. Again, whatever the parenting, the mothering style, whatever residue it left you with, if we live within that space of resentment, it's us it eats away at. And again, if you've grown up in a narcissistic environment, to be quite honest, that person isn't thinking of you. So if you're constantly dwelling on the hurt that they've caused you, you're actually energetically fueling the problem. And, you know, you're not necessarily going to get the shift through them. You need to do the shift yourself. Forgiveness does not mean that something bad that happened to us was okay. Forgiveness means that we choose to move beyond the experience and to release any ongoing need for retribution. In doing so, we no longer need to keep the memory of what happened alive within us. This choice reinstates our entitlement. This is all about entitlement to be in charge of our own lives. It really, really does. When we create this shift, it just means we choose to put that down and totally take an ownership of our own personal entitlement. But that needs also to be nurtured. But there is the energy of someone around you who wishes to support you in that. So, you know, again, somebody who's got a high level of mindfulness, they're quite clear about their intentions and they are wanting you to receive. Whenever we sow seeds, however much we yearn to see them grow, we cannot force them to develop any quicker than nature will allow. but we can provide them with the best possible conditions to grow. Whatever you have initiated in your life, this card is here to encourage you, be patient and nurture your relationship, idea, project with love. I think a great emphasis in this instance on relationships. I'm not saying for some of you it won't be love of yourself, or indeed your passion and love of a direction or something else you've initiated, but this is predominantly about relationships and also the impact, as I've said, of, let's call it, the style of mothering that you were involved in. We shift from this sort of level of awareness and the knowledge and the knowing that that shift is possible, the letting go of something to which we were tied emotionally, fertilizing the ground for our own deliverance. We move to that space of desire, the entitlement to initiate that and move it forwards, the Three of Cups, ownership of that, Princess of Wands, transformation, Ace of Swords, new beginnings, and the Empress in reverse is simply just acknowledging, you know, why this has been difficult and asking us to put, we are being asked to put this down, to let go of it. This is the rune of separation. Wonderful people, what a powerful reading number one, and so governed as well by this army of rose quartz. Absolutely magical. Wonderful people, so much love to you. Don't forget, if you're wanting to get notification of any of the readings I put up, of the live webinars, I'm also thinking of doing the energy updates you know, live rather than, you know, just logging on and going live. If you'd like notification of those tend to be quite spontaneous for me because I'm in the zone and I'll do them, but I'll try and give a little bit of notice at least. And if you are subscribed and you press the little bell icon, you know, it should pop up for you and let you know when that's happening. So wonderful people, so much love to you. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 2. We have the rune of signs. This is a rune that speaks of signs, symbols, synchronicity for me, always asking us to be alert to unexpected possibilities, to see beyond the surface. We also have the rune of gateway, which would suggest a process of evaluation in some way. And the rune of wholeness, the pathway you must follow. And lastly, the rune of defense. This speaks of control of the emotions. I'm very keen, as some of you will know, on not trying to control our emotions, but actually learning to listen to them and to learn how to use them as a source of empowerment. But there's something about some emotionality here, needing to keep on track, understanding that things that we are shown are actually there for guidance. So even if something raises emotions, there's good information there. I'm going to move these runes up here and we'll turn over our cards and see what we are being shown. I transform, the card of Scorpio. Very powerful energy here. Grace, release negative habits. It's okay not to be okay, and grace. Okay, and we have Star, refound hope, Page of Wands, looking forwards. Okay, but there's a 4. You're needing to move through and beyond something. Let's just see what everything else that is showing up. Let's see if we can lay out our cards and we have room for everything. So first of all, let me just connect in with the 4 of Pentacles. It is something is needing to shift here. And it's almost as though whatever it is that needs to shift, I think you're going to be shown the way. There is some process of evaluation. So even if you're feeling as though this is this staying on track, firm but kind, grounded, even if you think that things aren't going as they should, even if you feel they're not moving forwards as fast as you would like them to, you are actually being kind of shown that it's as though there's more going on beyond the surface. You're being asked to look a little deeper. I want to say things are not as they appear to be. That's not a negative either. We have the card of the Hierophant. This is Chiron, the wounded healer. We have the Ace of Discs, and then the Nine of Cups in reverse. We also have the King of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Hanged Man. Something isn't moving forwards as fast as you would like it to, but I want to say there's purpose to this. You're needing to look beyond the surface. I'm also going to say that you're ready to look. You're ready to look at it as it is. There's something that's been, I want to say, holding you back. You're not being asked to change direction. It's as though the course you're on is the right course, but it may not be. It's like you're not going from A to B, you're taking a slightly windier route, and there's purpose to it. You're being shown something. The route is part of the transformation, that's what I'm hearing. Release negative habits. It's okay not to be okay. Let me move all these cards along a little bit so we just have a little bit more room. And the card of grace. I love the card of grace. It really, for me, seats us in a space of receptivity, responsiveness, of gratitude for everything, even the stuff that is being shown to us, even when we're feeling like something isn't moving forwards or something untoward happens, we're being shown that it's like there's a message in there. There's some piece of learning to be gained. Okay, let me move these along. It's quite interesting, actually, that the first reading, I shouldn't speak too much about the first reading, really, because you've tuned into the second one, but you may have tuned into both, of course. Somehow, what I'm really hearing is you are on course. You are on track and things are actually moving forwards. It's just that they're not actually moving forwards in the shape or form that you were expecting. There is actually a transformation taking place, and it is an appropriate one. But there is an evaluation. The evaluation is actually to do, or the pause here, is actually to do with letting go of something negative. There is this evaluation here in the Rune of Gateway. You're being shown something, signs, symbols, synchronicities. Pay attention, pay particular attention to unexpected delays, conversations. You know, when you know those sort of situations where synchronistically you turn the radio on and the lyrics of the song that come on tell you exactly what you needed to hear. It's that sort of flavour. It's actually the universe is working with you. But for some of you, that I feel as though you're a little bit down in some way. Something has felt as though you've lost something of your perseverance. Now, the energy of Aragonite brings this sense of, there's a dual message to it that I'm really hearing. Two messages coming through. One is, let's just get really, really present. Let's meditate. Let's move beyond the clutter in our mind where we feel as though, from our perspective, things aren't moving forwards. And we just get grounded and we get still. You know, for a lot of people at the moment, life is feeling very uncertain. I mean, given the coronavirus and the anxiety around it and, you know, the talk of lockdowns in all kinds of ways and actually actual lockdowns happening. Now, if this kind of stuff is around you and you are feeling quite despondent about it, the energy here is asking you to kind of keep yourself centered and grounded while simultaneously staying on track. Okay, so it's as though, you know, remove this perspective of looking at things from, I want to say, from the dark side. That's a challenge at the moment, especially if this stuff is going on around you. But you are being kind of told here that you are actually on track. So you're being asked to remove the anxiety when something isn't running as smoothly as you would like it to. It's actually okay not to be okay. You're being asked kind of almost to see the blessings around you. Release negative habits. We all form habits and patterns in our lives, whether in thought or in action. But like a pair of comfortable old slippers, there comes a time when they outgrow their value to us and we must let them go. Do something different today that shakes you out of your usual ways of responding. It's as though the world is, you could perceive the world as sort of almost conspiring against you. And actually, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on around us that could leave us feeling quite helpless, quite out of control. It's okay not to be okay. Do you know, sometimes when we step into a space of being uncomfortable and being okay with being uncomfortable, however that is impacting on us, whether it's a global situation or something much more close to home, when we step into that space of being okay with being uncomfortable, we actually create quite a shift. You definitely are on track, even though it may not seem as though you are. Now, the King of Cups suggests there's an element of ambivalence around you. We have the Hierophant, a space of healing, Chiron, the wounded healer. There's opportunity here to step into a space of greater wholeness, greater resilience. This is the message coming through again. Greater resilience, greater durability. That's part of the lesson that's being brought to you guys, for those of you who've drawn this reading number 2. There is a resilience and durability in being able to sustain ourselves at times of uncomfortableness. It's the durability that comes from emotional unease and being able to sit with that rather than kind of feeling ambivalent and having an emotional reaction to it. It's kind of like we sit with that and we kind of trust. And again, we see the appreciation and the gratitude in everything. Now, the rune of Gateway for me is very much linked in with gratitude. It speaks of sitting on a mountaintop and casting your mind back over every aspect of your life that has led you to where you are today, and leaning into an appreciation of the learning of every step. Because this is such a grounded, earthy, kind of present flavour in this reading, I think you're being asked to really look around you. Just look for the goodness around you rather than the negativity. Hold hope, and also look to the future. Don't just look to, it's very much about look to the future. Look ahead. Look with appreciation of all that you have. When we sit in relationship with grace, we see every situation through the eyes of love, fostering our desire to meet life with understanding, compassion, and kindness. Again, that compassion, that kindness, it overrides any kind of despondency. This card asks that you view your situation with grace. Will understanding bring compassion? How would love view your possible choices? What would kindness suggest that you do? There is something quite profound here that connects you and earths you to, I want to say, put gender aside, to the feminine part of yourself. It's almost like moving through any emotional ambivalence, when we get frustrated by life or circumstances or situations or people's inability to act in a way that we think would be ethical or appropriate. It's like we overrule that because our compassion and our kindness takes a precedence. And the compassion and kindness allows us to lean into a very different space of energy. There are new opportunities around you. Even in this space, I feel like there is an uncertainty. It's like there's a wobble. And this reading is coming to earth you and to ground you. You are being offered an opportunity to center yourself in gratitude, in grace, and through that be able to override any emotional reactivity to stuff that isn't running smoothly. Queen of Pentacles, I love her energy, and sitting under the Ace of Discs, it's like she's the Queen of self-care. She knows how to look after herself and therefore to be available to then look after others. You may be called at the moment as well to prioritise your own needs. You may be under pressure. There's something about this negative habits. There's like an autopilot response to circumstances that are around you, and you are being asked to, or invited, obviously you have conscious free will and choice. You're being invited to kind of see past that, see beyond it. You become a more whole, a more complete person, even through this uncomfortableness. And yeah, this energy is being sent to offer you support, strength and groundedness, and with an invitation to stay on track. It's just that the road may not be as direct or as swift or fast as you might like. And any reactions within you that you're getting, you're ready to look at these. You're ready to see the situation as it is. Whatever's blocking your ability to be centered in happiness, whatever that energy is around you, you're ready to see it clearly. I almost want to say the invitation here is to sort of to write this card. The rune of defense, control of the emotions, being in relationship with emotions. When we understand our emotional responses as good information, instead of reacting to them, we can become responsive to them. We learn to listen to ourselves. I mean, for those of you that have connected in with some of my books, the 7 Steps to Spiritual Empathy is fundamentally about learning to listen to ourselves from an emotional perspective, understanding emotions as a source of empowerment, and actually understanding empathy not just as a sort of a cognitive space of listening to others, but fundamentally we listen to ourselves, and we can then listen to all of life that flows through us. Deeply spiritual pathway when we really understand empathy in that light. The following book, Mindfulness Meets Emotional Awareness, teaches you to use your emotions, as in all of the challenging ones, as a source of empowerment. So, both are quite relevant. I'm not here to plug my books, but they are quite relevant to what's actually taking place here. This using emotions to create an energetic shift to a source of empowerment, optimism, hope, opportunity, removing yourself from any sense of ambivalence. And there's so much healing to be had when we understand our emotions in that way. Ace of Discs, new opportunity. But really, guys, really listen to yourselves. You're ready to look at what's going on. I really want to write this card. So what I'm going to do, actually, I wonder if I can shift the camera. I don't know that I can zoom in, which is a shame, because what I really want to do is, I'd really love to get you, I'm going to work slightly differently here. I'd like you to, in fact, yeah, if I shift those up and bring those cards down, I'm going to move these cards up here. I'm going to shift the card of happiness down to here, 10 of Cups, and the Hanged Man. Okay, so I'm going to reverse their positions, first of all, because you're ready to look at something. So I'd like to just focus in on the energy of these 2 cards. They're telling a story in their own right. I'm going to move these up here, just out of our way. Now, if you think back to how we started the readings, sitting with your intuition, just sit and listen to the energy within you right now. Recognize that you are ready to identify something, and it's going to shift your responses and shift you to a position of, it's like your readiness to see something clearly shifts your position of personal empowerment. And that's where I'm going to then turn this card. Just sit with the energy for a moment. And as I turn this card upright, see, that's really interesting. I don't know whether you have felt that, but I felt that. It's like in my gut, there was a shift in the energy. It comes from your identification of whatever it is that you're needing to release. Again, don't wobble. You're being offered some gorgeously grounded energy, earth energy here. If you are experiencing challenging emotions, they're actually bringing you good information. Listen to them, connect in with them, It creates a shift. It brings compassion, understanding. It removes any source of what I would call ambivalence, where we are a bit emotionally reactive. You become emotionally responsive. It creates healing. It creates a new perspective, and that in turn shifts this energy, so that literally this card moves from a reverse position to an upright position. I can literally feel the energetic shift in this when I do that. Understand your emotions as a source of empowerment. Fundamentally wonderful people, learn to listen to yourselves. I think this is the key to self-awareness and the key to being able to navigate life from a perspective of real strength. And again, it's that self-responsiveness, our ability to be... if we think about self-responsibility, it's actually about our ability to be responsive to ourselves. That's what recreates a new energetic flow. And there's something very profound about the healing that comes through this transformative process, which is why we have this card of Scorpio, I transform. There's an extraordinary opportunity here for a shift. Which is interesting as we begin to move towards Aries season. And for anyone that hasn't yet checked out the energy updates for March, actually they really tune into particularly the end of March and into April. And I've talked about this huge energy shift that is available to us, and I've done a little mini reading for each sign. So if that is of interest to you wonderful people, do check that out. So, namaste, so much love to you. Yeah, really interesting. I can feel a tension here, but it's like, it's actually a magical opportunity. We have the star sitting in the middle, the rune of wholeness, the path you must follow. There is a real opportunity for an energetic shift here with so much love and, yeah, so much love and groundedness and earth energy being offered to support you during this phenomenal pivotal kind of shift and transformation. It opens a lot of doorways, I think. Namaste and so much love to you. Welcome to reading number 3, governed by the wonderful energy of Angelite, transformation, transition, very much about facilitating that rebirthing process, that opportunity for new beginnings, opening the way for the new. Our runes are, firstly we have the blank rune. Well, wow. I mean, this is all about rebirth. It's almost the rune of... It's like pregnancy. It's something is about to burst forth. It's the infinite source of possibilities that sit in the unknowable future. It's an extraordinary energy, new opportunities. Yeah, birthing is really tuned in with this. We then have the rune of relationship, of partnership. Sometimes this identifies intimate relationships. Sometimes it identifies business partnerships or a close friendship. But one way or the other, it's the energy of partnership that is around you. And then we have the rune of growth. This is new beginnings, terminations and new beginnings, but big new beginnings, a whole phase, a whole new phase of life. Very powerful energy here of transformation. So let's put our runes up here and see what the cards are going to bring us today. Okay, excuse me laughing, but you know when this happens, it's kind of like, you know, we have Angelite, we have the blank rune, we have 8th house endings, beginnings, we have the rune of growth, endings, beginnings. Okay, so endings, beginnings and partnership. Okay, interesting. Synchronicity, don't wobble and bless your past. There's a transition in this. New beginnings, Ace of Swords. you're coming through a conflict. We start with 2 of Swords, we have 6 of Wands, and we have Ace of Swords. You are coming through some kind of a conflict or some kind of a decision, and you are coming out the other side. And yeah, you are. And with, I want to say, with recognition as well. There's a real sense of celebration, acknowledgement. This is the birthing into the world of a new phase, without doubt. And it could even be like a new you. This partnership, this relationship, it could be your relationship to the divine. It could be your relationship with yourself. This is interesting. So let's just, let's place these cards up here first. So we have them in view. Lovely. Right. Let's look at our cards here. We have the Queen of Discs, we have the 2 of Swords, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. The 2 of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune are in reverse. The Queen of Discs, she basically says, you have been through a challenging period, an arid stretch of your journey, and you've come through and you are out the other side. She literally she's pausing and resting and looking back over a desert. She's ready to move on to the next phase, but she's also resting, which for me is quite interesting. There is an energy here of rest. You're being asked not to rush forwards, to push forwards. You are being asked to trust, and there's a difference between rushing forwards or emerging. And this is a space of emerging. You are emerging. This is a gentle birthing into the world rather than a forced and hurried one. This is interesting, the Queen of Discs, because it actually says, look, you're on solid ground now. You can rest safely in your position. You've done the work. Now, what I'm hearing is, for some of you, there's still a little bit of anxiety around this idea. Whatever the conflict was, there's still some anxiety around it. But I think you shift it. And the Wheel of Fortune is turning. The Wheel of Fortune in this particular pack speaks of miracles. It says, if miracles are not happening around you, then there's something wrong. Something's going on. Something is energetically causing there to be a problem. Now we have here the 4 of Swords. Again, be still. Allow this to emerge. We have the Moon, a rite of passage. The emergence, again, this is literally a card of birthing into new horizons. Almost for me, the moon is symbolized by, almost like traveling through the birth canal of the unconscious. That's what I want to say with this. King of Wands, new beginnings. There's new energy, new vitality coming through for you. However, 8th house, endings, beginnings. What I hear is you're in that space of transition. You haven't yet emerged. And I think for some of you, I'm feeling a kind of a tiredness around. It's as though you've invested so much in moving forwards, and the energy of that is really, really around you. The rune of growth is wonderful. New opportunities, it's a rune of promise. A whole new phase of something is starting to emerge. You are actually safe in your position, but I think there's just a tiredness around because you've worked so hard to be here, and it's like you're not at the end goal yet. You're actually at the beginning of a whole new phase. Bless your past. A useful tool to help us to let go of any emotional residue that is still clinging to us from a past experience is to bless your past. Whenever the memory of an event or person comes to mind, pause and say to yourself, I bless every aspect of my past and I celebrate the contribution that it gave me in becoming the person that I am today. So I'm actually hearing a really clear message, and it connects to the 2 of Swords here being in reverse, and also the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. When we are coming through a phase of transition and we are what I would call birthing a new phase of life, birthing into a new phase of life, or birthing a new relationship or a new venture, or there's always some wobbles, and I think they're really natural. I was going to say appropriate. Actually, sometimes they kind of get in the way, but they're appropriate. It's like if you enter a new relationship, all of your insecurities will surface. If you start a brand new venture, you can be fired up, passionate, know that it's the best idea you ever had, but actually you're stepping into the unknown. It raises anxiety. It's what I call the wobble of change. In fact, in my library, in the A to Z of Emotional Health library, which is a completely free resource, in the Psychology of Emotion section of the library, there's a couple of audios that would be relevant. One is called The Wobble of Change, and the other is called The Sadness of Moving Forwards. In both of them, I mean, I think I recorded them way back in something like 2014 when I first sort of set up. I hadn't set up the library, but it was the early beginnings of what has become the library. I was recording audios for my counselling clients so that they could touch base in between our sessions in order to keep grounded and to kind of get in touch with the knowledge that was underpinning the work that we were doing in our sessions. You know, knowledge is power as far as emotions go. And so there is one about, as I said, the wobble of change, the sadness of moving forwards. They're really natural aspects of transition, of rebirth. And when we are moving into a new phase of life, it's just the energy that's around us, and it can throw us off balance. Now, the Two of Swords in this position and in this pack is highlighting that we're coming through a conflict of some sort. The Six of Wands, that we get the recognition, the acknowledgement, we're moving forwards and beyond it. You have every right, guys, to feel really good about yourselves in terms of where you are. Ace of Swords, you are creating a whole new beginning. Berkana, the Rune of Growth, a whole new phase. The Queen of Discs, you can look back at where you've come from. But there is this slight wobble because of the anxiety of stepping into the unknown. In this pack, the Two of Swords speaks of that wobble. It asks you to remain centered and notice what knocks you off balance. Notice what allows you to regain balance. You're called to remain balanced and centered, because when you're not, it affects your capacity to be co-creative. Everything is actually happening as it should be. And as we move through phases of transition, when we birth a fresh and a new phase, a new relationship, a new partnership, a partnership in connection to a new life course, a new person, it always raises anxieties. It's just a natural space to be. Don't wobble. You know, we have this wonderful card. Are you having a wobble? Whether a minor one or a major one, this is completely understandable. You are facing tough choices, but deep inside yourself, you know what you need to do. This card is here to validate your deeper knowing and the decisions you are making. As you move forwards, your anxiety will ease and you will refine your balance. I actually have a really strong message here for some of you, the change that you are undergoing. You know, talk about almost like rebirthing is like the understatement of the universe. The challenges that you faced, that you are, you know, in a way they have catapulted you into a phase of a new beginning. But my goodness me, and I'm really hearing this, it's quite huge. You've really, really been through a lot to be where you are now. New beginnings are coming, new clarity, and yeah, don't wobble. This peace card in reverse is saying exactly the same thing. Don't wobble, remain centered, remain grounded. Trust in the universe. Are seemingly random coincidences showing up in your life? This card asks you to listen to the signs and take them seriously. You are tuning into the universal energy of a greater collective consciousness. We have Angelite. This is exactly this, connects to universal knowledge, opening the way for the new, psychic channeling, opening those doorways, opening connections for spiritual insights and inspiration. You are tuning into the universal energy of a greater collective consciousness, and these synchronicities are arriving in your world to guide you. Listen. Wonderful energy. Listen. Don't wobble. Four of Swords, for me, this is a card that always says, get still and meditate. You know, whatever's going on around you, you will gain the clarity you need. Wonderful. The Moon, the transition, you are going to emerge. Just allow this process to unfold. Berkana, the rune of growth, it comes with a story of asking not to hurry, again to allow things to emerge. Tune into the naturalness of the process of rebirth. It's the difference between having an induced birth or a natural birth. That's where I'm going to sit. So yes, irrespective of gender, you can tune into that one. It's not about making it happen. The story that comes with this rune is of a farmer who was so anxious to make his crops grow that he tried to pull them up. To make them grow faster. It's just not going to happen, guys. Everything, the energy here is completely with you. There's very much an angelic energy here, actually. And it's quite curious because this room is very warm where I do my readings. And since I've been doing this reading number 3, the temperature here has massively dropped. And, you know, every hair on my body is standing on end. There is a lot of support around you, a lot of people around you, those who love and guide you around you. This space of new opportunities, it can be scary, we can have a wobble, but my goodness me, there is guidance around you, and this relationship to the divine, relationship to yourself. For some of you, it's actual relationship to somebody, a new venture. Everything is actually right for you to move forwards. Don't allow your anxieties to knock you off balance. Don't wobble. Everything is happening as it should be. Get still, meditate. Everything is emerging just as it should, with whole opportunities for new beginnings. I love the combination of the King of Wands and the Ace of Swords sitting together. Very, very powerful. Trust your intuition, trust your connection to your higher self, your deeper inner knowing. Everything is happening just as it should, and you are emerging with the backdrop of so much love from those who love and guide you. Wonderful people. Namaste. So much love to you. I look forward to seeing you for some of the other readings, or indeed the live webinar on the 21st, where we are going to be learning about the cards, learning about the tarot, the oracle cards, the runes as well, the magical runes. It's going to be one of many ongoing events where, you know, for anyone who's interested in using the cards themselves, you can tune into that. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And of course, if you can't join us, it will be recorded and you can watch it in your own time and space. Wonderful people, so much love to you. Namaste.